Layla, and welcome back to my channel. As you've read in the title, today we'll be talking about situationships, specifically my experience with situationships, and of course, I'll throw in some nuggets and advice. And I didn't really think I would make this video, but I was having a conversation with a friend a couple of days ago, and I'm sure she won't mind me disclosing this because you won't know who it is because okay, no, I don't have a lot of friends, but you won't know. So it's fine. She talked to me about this person that she was seeing, and they were kind of, seeing each other, and he just kind of disappeared and just like completely disappeared. And it was really painful for me to see my friend going through that because I know what that feels like. So I was like, I really need to make a video on situationships and share my experience, and hopefully the wisdom I've gained from the last couple of years of not being in a situationship can help someone, and my experience as well can let you know that you're not alone and you're not crazy, you're not delusional. And even though you might feel like no one understands you, most of the time people have gone through similar experiences. It's just that people are not vocal about it. So with that being said, all my videos are very raw and uncut and very straightforward, and I think this is probably going to be the realest and most uncut video ever. So let's get right into it. So I want to start by saying that it's kind of embarrassing, but I'm not really embarrassed by it because it's the truth. I've never been in an actual serious relationship like boyfriend and girlfriend. I've been in one in 8th grade and it lasted a week. However, I have been in situationships, so I know exactly what I'm talking about today. So the first time I was ever in a situationship that I considered kind of serious was with the first guy I ever really knew in that type of way, like in an intimate way. And I was young, I was very young, and he was a bit older. But I was like, okay, we're just going with the flow. It's fine. I never wanted to be the type of person that like puts pressure. I'm very laid back. So I was like, okay, this is cool. We're just vibing. But then once my emotions started to get into it, I was like, I want us to go to the next level. Like, I want a serious relationship. And the person was just like, listen, I just got out of a relationship, but this was actually true. He had just gotten out of a relationship that was pretty long. So I felt rejected. I felt hurt. And I was like, I'm done. And I actually left him. And then the next time that I was seeing someone was like maybe about a year after. And I found myself in the same situation. This person I actually really liked, we had clicked. But here is where I would go wrong, in parenthesis. I didn't know this at the time, but I would kind of just go with the flow. Like if the connection was strong, I just assumed the connection was strong enough to sustain what was happening without a commitment. Whew. I know this is a word for someone. Stop thinking the connection is the commitment. It is not the same thing. You can have the strongest connection, but if you do not have a commitment, you have nothing. You have nothing. Okay, I'll give you an example. It's like going to school for 4 years and not getting your degree. Even if you tell everybody I went to school, oh, this is such a good example. Even if you tell everybody, like, listen, I'm going to school right now. Like, I've been in school for 4 years. I'm good. I know the material. Even if you know the material, if you don't have that paper, honey, no one's going to believe you. Everyone's going to be like, yeah, she's crazy. She always says she goes to school, but there's no proof. The commitment is the proof of the connection. I'm gonna let that sizzle in your spirit for a little bit, and I'll go back to the story. I don't want to start giving you advice already, but can't help it. So this second situationship, I was just so caught up in like the savior. I've always had this weird thing where I always assumed like some man was going to come into my life and he was going to be everything I've ever wanted. I blame Disney and chick flicks for that, by the way, but I really believed it in the core of my heart. Like I wanted like love in its truest form, and anytime I would feel something that is close to love, I would confuse it and think this must be it, but it was never love. It was mostly just the man lusting after me or me confusing lust with love. So in the second situationship, I I need to backpedal a little bit, by the way. So in the first situationship, when it was over, it was hard for me just because it was my first experience. And so I stayed single for a really, really long time, like single. Like I wasn't talking to anybody for like a year and a half. And during this time, I have to say, I started trying to get close to God because like I felt this hole in my heart. But then when I met the second guy, I was like, okay, that was cute. This is better. So I didn't really continue that relationship with God because it was more of like a religious thing. Like I would just go to church, but it wasn't like a commitment that I was making. Okay, you know what, God, I want to have a personal relationship with you. So when that second guy came into my life, I was like, okay, let's do it. Like I want to see this person. I want to keep seeing them because we have a connection. So this second situation was like very, very toxic. I remember having a conversation with my best friend, and I was telling her, like, I feel like I'm going to pull my hair out. Everything I said, it's like he heard the complete opposite. Like, I would say A and he would hear B. Like, there was nothing I could ever say to make him understand me. There was so much fighting constantly. We wouldn't even have like the good was good, but the bad was just horrible. Like it was to a point where I got scared that eventually like he would put his hands on me. Like I remember one time we were having a conversation and we are going back and forth, and I said something because I got a mouth on me, but still not a reason for anyone to do anything to you. And he threw a phone at me. And I remember sharing this with a family member at the time, and she said to me, listen, if you don't get out now, this is going to get physical. This is going to get physical. So you need to leave now. I also want to say something. You have to be very careful with certain type of men. Give me a second. I have something in my nose. I don't know why it's always when I'm filming, but back to the story. I have to say that with certain type of men who are dealing with their own trauma, if you're not careful, they will put all of that anger and things that they've gone through on you. So it'll always start very little. It will start by just disrespectful words. And then the disrespectful word, no, it will start by like yelling, and then yelling will turn into disrespectful words, and then disrespectful words will turn into eventually getting slapped, eventually getting punched, and eventually getting choked. And this person could take your life. It's not a joke. It's very serious. I thank God because I was not about that life. So as soon as he started being like aggressive, he threw the phone at me. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out. I was done, and I left. And I have to say that during this time, I always felt a voice in my heart. And now I definitely believe it was God that was like, Layla, this is not you. Like, this is not you. Like, you deserve better. Like, I always knew God was calling me, but I was like, no, I'm still young. I want to have fun. And another thing I want to point out is that at the time, I was very cocky. I was very arrogant. I was I was very prideful at the time because I was like, There's no man that's ever came into my life that I wasn't able to just leave. Every time I'd be like, I'm done, I would be done and I would leave. But you have to be careful with that, because the enemy will send you someone who, oh, honey, he will send you someone who you do not expect. And that person will take you through the gutter, okay? And if you are in that situation right now, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You were able to leave all those other people in the past, but then there is that, I don't really know what game it is, but finish him, finish him. I don't know how to say like finish him. I think it's like, I don't know what game it is, but I would always just hear that. But yeah, the devil will send you the finish him guy. And if you are not careful, this will waste so much time of your life. So, back to the story. So, I end things with that guy. I end up graduating from high school. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I like move into my own place, and I'm just like, I'm thinking I'm on top of the world right now. Like, I'm feeling like I'm on top of the world. Little did I know what was coming into my life. So, this guy comes into my life, and I had known him prior. And so I'm like, okay, I always had a little crush on him when I would see him around. So I was like, okay, whatever. Let's see what this is all about. He was very like nonchalant, very distant, very cold, condescending, and just like withdrawn. And I have to say, in parenthesis, when you don't grow up with a father, you're always longing for that male affection. I've said it in my testimony, it's like a hole in your heart. You feel like you need it. You need that male affection. You need that attention. You need someone to tell you you're beautiful. You need someone to validate you, because you're lacking in that area. And it doesn't matter how people might say you're beautiful, or you're funny, you have the best personality, or you have the best shape, whatever it is. If you don't believe it, you will go through very dangerous situations. So back to the story. This guy came into my life and completely turned everything upside down. Like I can't even put it into words, because it was just that toxic. It was just that draining. And mind you, like, he never yelled at me. He never disrespected me. He never like said anything like condescending to put me down. No. It was the covert things that he would do, the covert mind games, the quiet arrogance, the quiet manipulation, the quiet controlling behavior that literally was driving me insane. And no one could help me. No one could understand what I was going through. And I want to add also, as a side note, do not ever let people who have not gone through what you've gone through judge you. People who haven't gone through much are some of the most judgmental people, because they lack compassion. When you've gone through several different types of situation, whether that's poverty, whether that's hardships, whether that's hard relationships, toxic relationship, bad dynamics with family members, you have such a compassionate heart and you're able to relate to people. But people who grew up with a spoon in their mouth and they've always gotten what they want, they don't understand others. They're extremely judgmental. So don't ever take people's judgment personally. It's not about you. It's just their own situation. So I felt so alone. I felt like there was no one I could talk to. This person would come in and out of my life, and I didn't understand it, because I was like, wait a minute, like, I feel like we have a strong connection. Once again, I was confusing love with lust. It's not the same thing. I heard a pastor once says that love gives, but lust always takes from you. And that is the deepest thing I've ever heard, and it's so true. now that I'm years, like it's been so many years, but looking back now, I definitely understand that that's true. And every time I was ready to get out, I was ready to be done, it's almost as though he knew. He would just pop back into my life and act right. And I would be so confused because I was like, what? And then as soon as I let my guard down, the same thing would happen again. And mind you, like I would have him blocked for most of the time, for 6 months, for a long time, and then I would unblock him. Like it was so chaotic. But what I didn't understand is that the longer I kept it going, the more deeper in bondage I became. And I want to add a side note. That's the enemy's goal, to waste your time, to drain you so much to the point that you're not even looking to figure out what you want to do with your life. You're so consumed with this person and the situation and the pain and the hurt and the ups and downs that you can't even take a step back and ask yourself, what do I want in life? Where am I going? And even if you have those things in order, let's say you've gone to school, you've graduated, and you have your life in order, that person brings so much chaos to the point that you can't even focus on the things that you're doing. Just saying. That's why you see sometimes women after 20 years, 30 years with the same person and no commitment. And then they leave, but that's a 20 years and 30 years that's been wasted. Don't wait for it to get to that point. And if you've invested that 20 and 30 years, isn't it better to leave now than invest another 20, another 30? God willing, he gives you a long life. I'm just saying. Now back to the story. So yeah, like this was so draining. And the only thing that really helped me, I'm going to be very real with you guys, and this is the thing that I recommend, is I never gave up on myself. I always knew I deserved better, and I fought to get out. You need to be scared when you completely put your hands up and you're like, you know what, this is my reality. I'll never be able to get away from this person. The devil is a liar. You can get out. You have to fight for yourself. If you have those moments where you say to yourself, this is not love. I don't know what love is, but I know this is not love. If you say that to yourself, that means God is speaking to you, letting you know, I have better, but God is such a gentleman. He will never come and force you out of your situation. He will always tug at your heart. But we've all been given free will. You have to say yes. You have to say yes to God. He's extending his hand to you, and you've got to say yes and take his hand and be like, okay, you know what, God, I don't know what you have for me, but I'm ready. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to go through this anymore. I would cry myself to sleep every night. But outside, everybody was like, "Ha, Layla, you're the funniest. You're so amazing. You're the cutest. You're the sweetest." But I was dying inside. I was crying every single night, thinking about what this person is doing, who they're with. Why? Because I didn't have a commitment, and they weren't the person for me. When you don't have a commitment, you don't get to dictate what someone does. You don't get to tell them what to do. You don't get to say when or how they're coming, or when they're coming home, or when how they communicate, or what they give you. Why would someone give you the entire bag of bread if you only accepting breadcrumbs? If your value is 1,000,000, but someone comes to you, they're like, hey, I know you're worth 1,000,000, but I'll just give you $2. If you say yes, you think that person is going to be like, no, but you're worth 1,000,000. No, they're just going to be like, okay, here's the $2. You've got to set your price. You've got to set your price. And it didn't matter what I did, I couldn't get out. Like, I would go long periods of time without talking to this person, ignoring them. Mentally, I was caged. I was in a prison. Emotionally, I was caged. I was in a prison. Spiritually, I was caged. I was in a prison. And it didn't matter how many videos I watched on narcissists. It didn't matter how many, I got very deep into new age, like tarot, astrology, all that stuff. None of it worked. Until the day that I got tired, not only of that person, but of other things that were going on in my life. And I was like, God, I need you to come in. And I didn't even know that that was a prayer of repentance. I was just speaking from my heart. I'm telling you, the way God changed my life. I thought I was stuck forever. I thought, no, this is going to be my situation forever. And I'm going to stay with a person that I don't even like. I was stuck with them, but I didn't even like them. It was like there was something supernatural keeping us together, keeping us keeping us in bondage together. If you haven't watched my video on soul ties, you need to watch that, because it's a soul tie that you've built with this person. There was something supernatural keeping me there, and I was blinded. That spiritual thing was keeping me blinded from seeing this person for who they was, from seeing the situation for what it was. And then when God came into my life, the Bible says that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. When truth hits you, it's like someone removes a blindfold and you can see everything clearly. When you're in the dark, you can't see where you're walking. You don't know where anything is. But if someone walks in the house and turns the light on, you will see everything. And if you've been living for years in the dark, who knows how much of a mess you've created all around you. But when someone walks in the house and turns the light on, you can see all the mess that you've created. You can see what you've been stumbling on, and you can pick up those things and start to put things in order. That's what God does when he comes into your life. He's light. God is light. And when he comes, he illuminates your entire life. And all the things that were a stumbling block, he starts to help you remove them through his light. And you start to see how chaotic a situation really is. You start to see how degrading, demeaning, disgusting a situation really is. And I can promise you, I know what it feels like to say, I've invested so much, I don't want to leave. That is the biggest lie that the enemy has ever told women, is I've invested so much, another woman is gonna come in and take what I've invested in. Girl, let the woman take it. Let her take it. I promise you there's nothing there, honey. I promise you. That person who's doing you wrong, that guy, God loves them. That's God's child. Leave him to God, but you need to walk away. You need to leave. Because there's nothing there. I was set free when I gave God, I took God's extended hand, and I was like, I want to break free. And I broke free because God showed me it's okay to accept that you were wrong and that you made a mistake and this was not my choice. That is one of the hardest things to do, is to say, God, I was wrong. I chose wrong. And I've invested 4 years into this. Some people it's 5, some people it's 10, some people it's 15. Some people might be 1 year, 6 months, whatever. No one can judge you. I'm not judging you because I get it. However, I am going to hold you accountable because I had to hold myself accountable and say, you know what? I made the wrong choice and I have to leave and I have to abandon everything. But nothing, like, God will never tell you to leave something that is worth keeping. And I promise you, this is a guaranteed. This is a guaranteed. Come back on this video after you let go of that person. Give it time and tell me if God doesn't send you your person. You will know when you meet your person. You will know because you will just know it's God. You will know it's God. You will have no questions about it. And one of the most pivotal moments of my life, I will never forget it. I was saved for a year at that time. And I remember sitting on the floor crying because this person, we had exchanged a text message, and God was telling me, you need to let this person go. Everywhere I would go, on YouTube, any audio that I would listen to, I would just see, let this person go, let that wrong person go, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, I need to let this person go. And I remember just crying for like hours. I was like, Lord, I don't want to let this go. And I just kept hearing God tell me, I have better. You have to trust me. And I am so glad. I'm so glad I trusted him, because I do know that he has better. I've felt what better is. I know what better is. Trust me, there is better. And your person, you will just feel like you will be yourself. You'll be completely yourself. And when I say yourself, I don't mean the alter ego you've created, but that inner person that is yearning for love, that inner person that is waiting to come out, whether that is a goofy person that is waiting to finally come out, whether that is a intellectual person that is waiting to come out, a wise person that is waiting to come out. You've got to let that person out, but it takes God. It takes God. And I'm not going to give you the cliche, know your worth, girl, no, or know your worth, boy, no. I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just going to tell you that the longer you stay in it, the more difficult it's going to be to get out, the longer your healing journey will be. Just know that God has the best. God has the best. He knows you in and out. Like, he knows every detail about you. Don't you think he would pick the right person for you? And I want to add, don't leave one situation to go to another. It will be the same thing, just a different face. That's it. And there will be a situationship you will go into that you will not be able to get out of very easily. Go read the story of Samson. He was a strong man, and each time the enemies would come and try to attack him, he would break out. He would break out. But then there was that one time where he could no longer do what he was so used to doing. I really, really hope that this video helped you and it blessed you and it spoke to you. I'm here to just keep it real, and I hope my experience helped you. And I'm telling you, the grass is really green on the other side. I never thought I would be here. I never thought I would experience peace and wake up with so much joy and just laugh all the time. Yes, of course, I still go through things because I'm human, but with God, there's so much peace. There's so much love. There's so much joy. And I want you to experience that. And I want to answer a question that I wish someone answered a long time ago for me. Your life will not always be like that. It will not always be like that. But you have to make that choice. Okay? Bye. And I'll see you in the next video.